What's up, guys? Welcome to Columbus, Ohio. We are at the Rogue headquarters. We're doing some home gym shopping, so we're gonna take you along with us. Let's go ahead and we're gonna start with squat racks. So basically, just come along home shopping with us. We're looking at monster light racks here, a couple different variations of it. What we're probably gonna go with is actually none of these. This one, the problem is, this is not gonna allow you any plate storage. And even whenever you go here, you're not gonna have any plate storage because you need room to bring these up and down, so you can't put the side pegs on. So these aren't bad options, but I think personally we're gonna go with one that we're gonna see in here. This one, no, not this one, not that one, not that one, not this one. Okay, no, in all seriousness, these are the two that we're looking at. These have the option to have the full cage, but then also have plate storage behind. So I think for our home gym, this is gonna be what's working out best. They actually do have a stainless steel one, which is probably gonna be much more expensive. It is beautiful, but we're probably gonna go with more of like a black or a red. All right, so these are Rogue's two different single cable systems. And for reference, I'm 6'4", and I can reach about 8 feet high. So this thing is massive, like way bigger than we thought when we were looking at on the internet. This one has the two cable setup here. Honestly, this would maybe barely fit in our garage. We're gonna have to measure to even find out. But this thing feels like a bit overkill, and for us personally, we're probably gonna go with something built into the rack. All right, so next thing that we're thinking about for our home gym is dumbbells, and luckily to come here and feel them, it's pretty awesome. So these dumbbells are super nice, but this is more something for a commercial gym. We're gonna just go with the classic Hex dumbbells. I think they're solid, and we're probably gonna get a universal storage rack system. This is the monster storage system with the big, heavy, tall beams. Again, probably overkill for our home gym. We're gonna go with more of a universal system, which will be closer to the size of this custom dumbbell rack, but instead it'll just have the flat shelves. So we'll probably do 2 shelves of dumbbells and then 1 shelf of kettlebells. All right, speaking of kettlebells, Rogue kettlebells are awesome. I've actually used them a ton. We actually worked at a gym that had tons of Rogue equipment for years. I've never tried a fat bell though, so this is a first right here on the fat bell. Probably not what we need for our home gym, but they are pretty cool, and they do feel pretty great. But we're just probably gonna go with a basic set of kettlebells, maybe 4 or 5 kettlebells to start, and we can add over time. All right, next let's talk about plates. So I'm not a plate expert by any means, but we've spent a good amount of time watching garage gym reviews and looking online. So let's talk about them. So what the guy who was talking to us here recommended actually was for most people to go with this one, which was the HG. And I've used these. We had them at the gym that I worked at for years. They're just too thick. You can only fit 2 or 3 of them on like a standard trap bar. Comfortably, and they're not as easy to move on and off the barbell. So for not much more, I'm probably gonna go with the Echo plate, either just the black and white or the blue colored ones. So these two are the same. Those are the Echo plate. That's kind of the middle of the tier. So I guess in terms of at least my knowledge of these plates, the cheapest one is this kind of recycled rubber. This is just like they cut up tires and they smush them together into a plate. We're not gonna go with that one. We're gonna step it up a little bit. We're gonna step it up even beyond the HG and probably go to these Echoes. I think that's gonna work for us. There are other options, like you could take it a step farther and get these competition plates. More of the mass is centered with this, stainless steel, I think that is, bearing in the center. And maybe it's just regular steel, but whatever. These competition or training plates have the steel and the weight more centered in the middle. So if you are doing Olympic lifting, or you're doing competitions, or if you have a competitive gym, that might be more relevant, but I'm competing in endurance sports. My wife just likes to lift weights. So for us, we're probably gonna go with the Echoes there. Oh, and one thing that we found was interesting was these urethane plates. When we were talking to the Rogue specialist here, he said these don't chip. So if you've ever worked with rubber plates, you'll notice that over time, like little chips can fall off. This thing is like super, super durable. Again, probably overkill for our home gym. We don't need to spend extra on that, but it's kind of interesting. It feels really cool. All right, now we'll talk about steel plates. Now, I don't know a ton about these. Personally, we only probably need 1 set of plates, maybe like 2 45s, 2 25s, some 10s, some 5s. That'll get us set for our home gym and what we need. But if you are gonna be stacking multiple plates on the bar, you're gonna be lifting 300, 400, 500 pounds in your home gym, you might wanna go with these because again, the thickness of the bumper plates kind of limits you on the barbell. I think these are all awesome. Let's just get in close and see them. These are the deep dish plates. These feel super, super nice. I mean, like, It's easy to grip, but this plate is much thinner. We'll have to actually like look up which ones these are because I don't know that much about the steel plates, but those are super cool. But personally, if I was gonna get steel plates, I would probably get one of these with the actual holes just to have it more conveniently come on and off the rack. But again, this will probably depend on your individual goals. If you're shopping for something that you could fit tons of plates on the bar and keep them close to you for like powerlifting, this might be a good choice. But again, personally, I'm not an expert on these. All right, let's do a very basic coverage of barbells here. So we have earthquake bars. We're not gonna get one of those. We don't need it, but what we're gonna get is probably the Ohio bar. For 90% of people, the Ohio bar is a standard 45-pound bar that kind of does everything. We're not super into powerlifting, so if you were, you might want to go with something like this, which is the Ohio Power Bar. It has a much stronger knurling here. Like, this is rough in comparison to underneath it. This is an Olympic bar. This is something else too. You'll notice this is actually a bearing, whereas this is a bushing, so it stops. Whereas the Olympic lifting bar will just spin all day long. Probably not quite as much as an Eleiko bar, but these Rogue Olympic lifting bars are nice as well. So you have powerlifting bar, Rogue Ohio Power Bar here. Super nice for power lifting, I'm sure. Aggressive center knurling. More of an Olympic lifting bar is not going to have a center knurling. It's going to have those bearings so it can spin. We're just going to go with something like a standard Ohio bar. There's a couple different variations of the Ohio bar, but it's more of like a moderate grip. It doesn't have a center knurling, but it does everything that it needs to do. You can squat with it, you can deadlift it, you can bench, you can do overhead press. You could probably do some Olympic lifts, although it's not going to be quite as smooth in the turnover as something with, more of a higher quality bearing. But that's what we're going to go with. There's a couple different finishes. Black zinc doesn't feel quite as nice. I think the one over there is black zinc, and I think this one's black zinc also. We're probably going to go with either that middle one, I think it's like Syracuse or something like that, or maybe the stainless steel one. The stainless steel one's like super nice and it doesn't oxidize at all, so it would be really long lasting, but I'm not sure if it's going to be worth that extra little bit to pay for that. So I don't know, we'll probably go with kind of that middle range. While we're here, we were looking at these inclines, but honestly these are all pretty aggressive other than this very tiny one. Like, I want something that's like kind of halfway in between these two to use. I have very long femurs, so I actually do like squatting with like a bit of an incline, but I don't think we're gonna go with a Rogue one. I don't think so. All right, now let's talk about benches. We're gonna take this one, we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna compare the two. Okay, so this is the Rogue 3.0 adjustable bench. This is the upgraded version that they're gonna have here. Of course, they're gonna show you the best one that has like the bearings for the wheels. It has like the stainless finishes here, the nice premium foam padding. I mean, it's great. Like, this is probably what we'll get. We might get like the, slightly tiered down version because I don't know that we need the stainless finish there. But this is probably the one we're gonna go with, and this is probably the one that 90% of people are gonna go with. But there is this one, which is like brand new, just released, and it's super, super nice. I mean, like, it has an adjustable little thing here that you could take off, and yeah, this thing is nice. Like, the material on this, it's anti-slip. So in comparison, like, if my shirt just like sticks to that thing, whereas over here, you can kind of slide up and down a little bit more. For most people, the Rogue adjustable one, this is gonna be solid. All right, now let's go into conditioning, and then we'll get into specialty equipment. I think there's some really cool options here. All right, so now we're over here at the conditioning equipment. This is the Rogue Echo Bike, and I just hopped on this thing, and I've used these before. This new version is smooth. I mean, this thing is smooth and it's not super loud. I've had gyms that have 10-year-old versions of this or a similar bike. This is a nice version. Like, this thing is nice. The Echo Bike, I think, is pretty solid. Like, people are probably gonna go with the Concept 2 rower or an Echo Bike, or maybe a ski erg. There's a little bit of pros and cons to each. The ski erg, that's an interesting proposition here. So the ski erg takes up very little room in a home gym. Like, you're talking about just like 2 foot by, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot here. And you can get a good solid conditioning workout in that amount of space. I've used one of these a ton. I think they're really smooth. Very similar between this and a Concept 2 rower in terms of the feel of like the pull, the handles. It's just obviously here you're using your arms. You might even want to get two. If I was going to go with two, I would probably go with a bike and a treadmill, but maybe you like rowing or you want to go with a skier and a rower or a rower and a treadmill. Totally up to you, of course. It's your gym, I don't know. Also, this is something that's fairly new, and that's the Concept 2 bike, the erg bike, as you might hear it. This is nice. So if you're gonna go for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I think this is much more enjoyable, much more comfortable than the Echo bike. The Echo bike, you can crank on it for 20-second intervals or 10, 20, 30 minutes of conditioning maybe. But if you're gonna be doing longer conditioning sessions, I think for a lot of people, this is a really good option. All right, now we're gonna get into a lightning round of reviewing some specialty equipment. Med balls, slam balls. I've used these. Honestly, I would not go with Rogue if you're gonna go with a med ball. I've had a number of gyms that use these and they break very fast, and there's much better options out there. Trap bar, this is actually pretty nice, but personally, I like the open design of a trap bar, so I'm probably gonna go with something different that has an open back so that you can do reverse lunges and things like that. Atlas stones and logs. Obviously, you have to be into strongman to want to do this, so personally not something I'm interested in. But I think Rogue is one of the top tier for this type of equipment. So if that is something you're interested in, you can definitely check it out. Look at this, it's just a square bar. This is the stainless steel version of the Ohio Power Bar. And that thing has like an intense grip. And yeah, that definitely would last over time. Yoke, I don't know anything about it, but this looks like a nice one probably. Glute ham developers, probably don't have room for it in our gym. Lastly, a couple pieces here. A reverse hyper, that thing looks intense. There's actually a GHD reverse hyper combo. That could be kind of interesting if you're trying to put both of those pieces into your gym. Again, we just don't have the room for it. Seal row, I think this would be sweet to have in a home gym, but unless you have like a big basement or something like that, you're probably not gonna have room for a seal row. And then leg press, again, we're just gonna stick with the squat rack. But if you had a room for a leg press in your home gym, that'd be pretty sweet. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed home gym shopping with us. Subscribe so you don't want to see any future videos, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. What is this? Oh my God. That's a heavy rock. Probably lift it. All right, I'm gonna try to do it. No. Oh my God, how heavy are these things? Together they weigh 733 pounds. Smaller one weighs 318, and the larger one 414. Should have warmed up. That is heavy. Might make the difference. I don't know, we'll fit that in somewhere else.